Welcome back, everybody, to Nerds in the Gym. I'm Marco, and here's another nerd review. Um, Reviewing Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 2 now. Um, so, let's jump right into it. In Episode 1, we finish off seeing Obi-Wan, kind of gather his things and get ready to be kind of a Jedi again. Going back to his ways, and he ends up getting ready for this journey to go save Leia. So, Episode 2, we travel to the planet that Leia is captured on, or kidnapped on. And Obi-Wan's going through finding his way to go find her. They brought in, I can't think of his name. He was in, I want to say, the Eternals for Marvel. I'm not even going to try saying his name because it's just going to make me look bad, and I don't need people being like, wow, you really just butchered his name badly. He's a funny he had a funny role in the movie. He was like this fake Jedi and everything, tricking people or scamming people to make money, which is awful, obviously, especially with how the galaxy is at this point in time. And Obi-Wan goes and they essentially try scamming Obi-Wan, but they don't scam him because Obi-Wan can sees how he's doing the scamming and everything, which is just it was hilarious. It was well done, and now we have people screaming "Hey" in the background. But essentially, they lead through this guy. Obi-Wan, it basically calls him out on BSing these Jedi tricks and everything, and the guy ends up helping him go find where Leia is. Obi-Wan gets there. We get to see some Breaking Bad level stuff in Star Wars, which was awesome. Which it's something that I really appreciate because I feel like Star Wars kind of avoids this idea of we've always seen scum and villainy in Star Wars, but this is a little bit more in depth. These people are legitimately cooking meth in the in Star Wars, but it's going into more detail, and I like that it's a bit darker or more realistic, I guess. And Obi-Wan ends up going through there. He ends up finding Leia, but he ends up having trouble because the kidnappers come in and they start fighting with him and everything. And they're um, like basically tell him it was a setup that Riva, the was it ninth sister or whatever, in the first episode that thought she sensed Obi-Wan, she set this all up to get him. And she's kind of doing her own thing at this point because the Grand Inquisitor doesn't want her going after Obi-Wan, but she does because it's a big thing, and we don't know why it's such a big thing to her. So for me, this is I think it has to do with there's some type of connection between the two. We know that Inquisitors are all were Jedi at some point that returned to the dark side, and some of them just did it just for survival purposes, had nothing to do with that they actually believe in it. But they show or they tell him that oh, she's coming and everything, and Obi-Wan ends up whatever chemical or whatever he got throughout that drug creation process, throws it down. I don't know if he killed them though. They must have died eventually, but they were somewhat alive later on when we see them, but they must have died at some point. And he ends up getting Leia, and they get out and everything, blah blah blah. And he's going through, and we start getting Leia is very talks a lot like Leia would talk, but also there's a lot of parallels with Padme. And Leia, obviously, you can tell she has some Force abilities because the way that she's able to read people. It's not normal the way she's able to read people. And Obi-Wan ends up saying you remind me of a friend of mine, referring to Padme, and we get this whole thing where Leia ends up saying I'm sorry for your loss and everything, and it's so weird because she doesn't know that obviously the person he's talking about is her mother. So Obi-Wan is still getting these things that remind him of the past. We end up going through. He's trying to get her out of there and everything, and we end up seeing the Grand Inquisitor, and then two of the other Inquisitors end up seeing what Riva has done in terms of trying to snuff out Obi-Wan, and they start going after her again, and they basically say like, the Grand Inquisitor is like, Obi-Wan is mine now. You're done. Like, you need to stop going off the rails and doing your own thing. This is my work now. You're done. Riva ends up making a call to like all the bounty hunters and stuff, putting up a wanted thing for Obi-Wan because she wants him for herself. Which again, it's so weird. Like, there has to be a reason why she specifically wants Obi-Wan. I feel like it's deeper than just it's deeper than just a reward. Like, she wants Obi-Wan for some reason. So we get this whole chase thing, bounty hunters are going after Obi-Wan and everything, blah, blah, blah. And so now it's up the stakes a little bit. I thought it was a good bit of action that they start doing. And we see Obi-Wan using a blaster in this episode, even though he dug his lightsaber out, which, I have some thoughts about that. I don't want to like talk about that too much right now, but because this will come into the end. But yeah, it was a good there were good chase sequences and stuff, and then Obi-Wan ends up or Leia ends up seeing Obi-Wan's face on one of the devices, and she's like, oh my, she thinks that he's like a bad guy or something, so she tries running away from Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan goes chasing her, and then Obi-Wan's getting chased by bounty hunters, and creates this whole thing. They're running on rooftops and stuff, and then obviously Obi-Wan's like very exposed now, because he's just running through the city chasing a girl. So they go, they're running on the rooftops. Obi-Wan gets stuck in like this gunfight essentially, and then Leia hits this edge where it's like she can't make this jump, and I'm pretty sure Obi-Wan's screaming like, don't jump, Leia, don't do it, and everything, and she eventually goes for the jump, and she catches onto this clothesline, and Obi-Wan runs over to the edge, and he's looking at her, and this is where you really see Obi-Wan has zero force ability, because he cut himself off that much, and she could only hold on for so long. He's telling her, hold on, and she's like, Ben, save me, blah, 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 and then she lets go, and you get like this really intense moment where she's falling, and the music is just getting like super intense, and then next thing you know, last second, his ability of the Force comes out and he's able to stop her. I didn't mention this in the episode for the first episode. It makes sense why he wasn't able to communicate with Qui-Gon Jinn in that episode. He tries doing it multiple times. I think he may do it in episode 2 as well, but it makes sense because he has no connection with the Force. If he has no connection with the Force, at this point, if Qui-Gon is a ghost, that he's just the Force at that point. He's one with the Force, so Obi-Wan wouldn't be able to communicate with him. And then, Leia finally is like, oh my god, like, when Obi-Wan gets down there, like, you are a Jedi. And we end up meeting that fake Jedi later, a bit later, and we see him try to help Obi-Wan get out. They lock down all the ports and everything. He tells him a way to go to get out of there. So him and Leia end up going that way, and now Leia like completely trusts Obi-Wan. Like, he's a Jedi and everything, blah blah blah. Because she was a little skeptical, like, she was thinking a full army would come here that was sent by her dad, Bail Organa. Instead, it's just this lonesome individual who seemed to be a Jedi, but wasn't admitting to it, because obviously it's in a very creepy place right now because they're all being hunted. And it was a good setup because it shows why Leia wants to be helped by Obi-Wan Kenobi in episode 4 when we get that, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. But we end up seeing them go to this to the ship or whatever, or start going on their way to the ship. Riva ends up finding that fake Jedi, gets it out of him using going into his mind with the Force, gets it out of him, so she starts chasing them there. Leia gets in the thing, and Obi-Wan says, if I don't make it in time, leave without me. And Riva is hunting down Obi-Wan, and for the first time we see Obi-Wan pull out his lightsaber. He doesn't ignite it, but she's saying stuff like, I will bring you in and everything, blah, blah, blah. Then she brings up, you can't escape Darth Vader, essentially. And you see this look on Obi-Wan's face. Obi-Wan was like, this was one of my favorite moments in like a lot of various entertainment properties, like between video games, TV shows, movies. Obi-Wan is shocked. He has no idea how to react because this is the first time he thought Anakin died on Mustafar after the whole high ground thing. No, Darth Vader's still alive, and he knows that Anakin is Darth Vader because of that message he saw, or the hologram of him being named Darth Vader by Lord Sidious back in Episode 3. And then she goes even deeper. She's like, Anakin Skywalker is still alive, Obi-Wan. Like, you didn't know that? And then eventually the Grand Inquisitor comes up. There's a confrontation between Reva and him. And then Obi-Wan escapes. And when he's on the ship and they're going, Leia's like, is everything okay? Because he's just staring and there's like tears coming from his eyes. And he's like, he goes, Anakin. And then we cut over and we see Anakin in a Bacta tank. We hear the Darth Vader breathing. Let me tell you something. This episode set up the next, not even just the next episode, but the rest of the series, which is 4 more episodes, so well. So well. We get confirmation that, you know, now Obi-Wan knows Anakin is still alive and Darth Vader's there. But Reva also points to Anakin / Darth Vader, I'm going to refer to him just as Anakin, has been wanting to capture Obi-Wan these past 10 years. Like, it was a big thing, and they all thought that he was disappeared forever. Like, nobody was going to see him again. And now we get that, you know, he's there and everything, you know, like, she really wants to bring him back to Anakin. And I don't know, like, it's weird. I'm excited to see where it goes, because I think a lot of people would be like, obviously, he wants to kill Obi-Wan after what happened, which I think that's a very high possibility. Like, let's kill Obi-Wan, because that is basically the last thing of Anakin Skywalker left that, like, could really ever turn the tide of bringing Anakin Skywalker back. Or, like, I have a theory that maybe Anakin just wants Obi-Wan and try to convince him to come to the dark side in order to and become an Inquisitor with him, or with the rest of the Inquisitors, or to overthrow Palpatine. Because we all know that Anakin is still there in some way, because even in episodes 4, 5, and 6, Anakin Skywalker still exists. It's just this battle between Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker. But for this episode, you know, I think it does set up the future super well. And because of how it sets up the future, you know, I have to give it probably, like, I don't know, like, there were parts of it where it wasn't as good as episode 1, in my opinion. You know, it felt like a little slow and whatnot, but it still did a really good job at setting it up. I'll have to give it, like, we'll go with an 8.4. It was a solid episode. And I think the best part is this episode may be better depending on in the future, depending on how it sets up the rest of the series. But yeah, so far this series I highly recommend it, especially, like, I didn't even think you need to be a fan of Star Wars to like this show, because it is very much so, it's not the way that we think of Star Wars, because Star Wars usually isn't like this dark and whatnot. But yeah, I give it 8.4, and I'll be back with a review on Wednesday, whatever day that is, like June 2nd, I think, when episode 3 releases. Highly recommend the show. Let me know what you guys think. All these reviews, by the way, going to be spoiler. I forgot to do a spoiler warning. I don't know how to do the graphics and stuff yet to add, like, a spoiler warning, or add, like an 8.4 or whatever onto the screen. But yeah, highly recommend the show. You guys should check it out, and I'll see you guys on the next nerd review, or just next Nerds in the Gym video or whatever. See ya.